Hello and welcome to the Recording Dead. We are here to talk about last night's episode, The Suicide King, Season 3, Episode 9 of The Walking Dead.
Oh, is that what they called it?
Yep, The Suicide King.
Oh,
I don't know why.
I didn't even look that up. I don't see. I don't even know what half the episodes' names are called, but a lot of people I know, I guess, are memorizing them. And yeah, wow, I didn't. Why would they call it the Suicide King?
I don't know. Maybe because Daryl's trying to be that because he freaking left the group. I couldn't believe that.
Oh yeah, God, I'm still emotionally distraught right now about that whole thing. I had trouble going to sleep last night. I felt so bad. Why would he do that? Come on, Daryl, you're everybody's favorite character. You got your own commercial right now. You're just so famous. Don't ruin this for yourself, man. But I guess it's thicker than water, though. I mean that's the only reason I can think of why he would go off with Merle. I mean, it's not like Merle's done anything to like make him love him more because. It's like he's even saying Merle's a jerk. He hasn't done anything for me, but that just shows that he's a loyal brother. But again, he's part of Rick's family now too, and he even said that. So
yeah, no, I can't believe like Glenn didn't say, hey, your brother put these bruises on me. Oh, and he let Walker loose on me.
Yeah.
I can't imagine how he'd react to that, but no, of course not. That never comes up.
I guess that didn't matter enough to bring that up. So Glenn instead takes his frustration out on a zombie's head, making it his own personal walking mat. So,
yeah.
But yeah, there was a lot that went on last night. It was a good reintroduction to the series.
Totally. Let's see. Well, also the newcomers, Tyrese, Sasha, Alan, and Ben. We learned that the two young kids are complete jerks and can't be trusted because.
Want to take out the whole group. Where did that come from?
I know, and I was with Tyrese when he was like, what do you want to do? Throw a rock in the baby's head? And they even, like object to that, and that was like, oh, God, they're going down. They're going to confront Rick and mess stuff up for him.
Yeah, I hope. Now, it's funny because Tyrese was actually a really big character in the comics. He came in very early on in the comics. He was part of the original group, and he was like Rick's second in command, I think. I haven't actually read the comics, but someone has told me that over time. So I wonder why they kind of changed that around. They pushed him all the way back to season 3. But there again, Daryl and Merle were never a part of the comics. Those two characters were created especially for the TV show. So I guess in changing that story arc around, you're altering a bunch of other ones too, so maybe that was one of the reasons why they pushed Tyrese back. So I'm not really sure, how big his role is going to be in the show. Who knows?
Who knows? But I'm also curious because I think you mentioned a while back Andrea was brought back in the comics, and in this show I couldn't tell because she didn't follow them out of there, but she also didn't even I mean, she didn't like what the governor was doing, but she stayed. I couldn't believe it.
And that she didn't go with the group when she found out it was them. Well, yeah. Well, okay. Let me explain something about Andrea here. I've been done a lot of character analysis with her. I know there's a lot of hate on Andrea because she's just a character that she just loved to hate. And yeah, I understand where people are coming from, but at the same time, it's like, well, here's summing Andrea very nicely. In a little nutshell, basically. She comes from, I think she was, in a small town or something. She was always a hard worker, did a lot for her family, never took any vacations. She was always a really hardworking person and never had much to show from it, And now she comes into this new little town, Woodbury, and she hooks up with the leader of the town, and now basically she's like the queen bee and having, domination over everyone else, and she loves it. She loves it, and she doesn't want to give up that kind of power. I mean, she's very conflicted because obviously she wants to be with her friends and she wants them to be safe, but at the same, when she's intervening when Merle and Daryl are fighting, because obviously she doesn't want them to get hurt, but at the same time, she doesn't want to give up this new life either because she loves it. She loves this new life, and she's even kind of living up to her role as like the alpha female of the group, because as she's kind of talking to them, trying to convince them all that everything's going to be all right, because she wants this new life to work. But at the same time, though, she's still very conflicted because I think she is split right down the middle. Part of her wants to be with her friends, the other half wants to be here in this new life, and right now the life in Woodbury is just kind of dominating more because it's just it works out for her so much better.
Pretty much, and oh God, it's amazing how right the governor is. Even though I don't like him, he's already made himself the evil guy with the eye patch and everything. But when he's like, these people all picnics and stuff, and they're not ready for the real world, I'm looking at them all like trying to leave, and he's right. I can't. Man, it's just amazing when you have to agree with the bad guys sometimes.
I mean, the governor has already established himself now as like the main villain. I mean, early on in the season, he was kind of like the charismatic kind of character. I mean, obviously he was very devious and sinister because he's killing off these military guys because, he wants all the power to himself. He wants to have control. But at the same time, he cares about these people. He cares about this community that he's built, and he's like a good leader for them. But now that he's lost his daughter Penny, he's losing control of the city. Now he doesn't care anymore. Now he's just willing to go all out, and, now he's a badass. And so he's willing to wage war with them, and I love how they established that early on in the episode. I just love that beginning where, as Rick and everybody's attacking the town, he's just smiling because this is exactly what he wants. He wants there to be bloodshed and carnage now, and he's stepping out of the smoke because now he's reborn as the villain, and there's, now the war has been staged. We now have the good and the bad, and that's why I love season 3 so much more than season 2, because 2 was more slow paced, it was more dramatic, more depressing, whereas season 3 we have a lot of sad moments, but at the same time it's more hardcore, it's more fast paced, there's more action, we have more of a definitive conflict here, and I just think that season 3 is really superior in almost every way as opposed to last year's season.
Pretty much. I can agree with that, and let me tell you, I think my character of interest right now is Carol, because she's been nothing to being the rock for Daryl, to being the one to take care of, like, the baby sometimes. And now, in this episode, it almost seems like she's becoming the surrogate mother of Carl.
Oh, yeah, because they have the scene where the two of them are kind of connecting there a little bit when she's telling the little story about how she misses all the sounds, all the noises, because it's so quiet. And that's another thing I love about this show, is it's really a staple on the human condition, why we behave certain ways, and, just what makes us who we are. That's really what this show is. We just made it more entertaining by bringing in zombies. We just made it fun, but really it's just why humans behave a certain way, but we thought that would just be too boring just to talk about human behavior and everything, so we made it fun by bringing in zombies. And that's one of the things I love about this, is we still kind of relate back to those everyday things that we take for granted in our real lives. Listening to cars go by on the road, listening to jet planes flying overhead. And in this world overrun by zombies, they miss those everyday, almost necessities that make life real for us. And when those are taken away, it gets to us, and we miss those things, even the things that we thought were annoying. It's the same thing in Woodbury. We have all these people that have kind of set up camp here. They've really kind of barricaded themselves in this false reality that everything is going to be all right. They're kind of blind to what's going on in the outside world, and they're just thinking everything's okay. We're living in this happy little town. Everything's fine. And now after this attack and after some of the zombies got in, now reality is beginning to sink in again, and they're remembering, oh my God, everything is terrible out there, and it's becoming too much for them to handle, and they realize how lost they are really without that false sense of security. And they've been turning to the governor for all that support now, and now that they don't have that, they're really like lost children.
Pretty much. And of course, they lose the one prisoner guy. His friend's upset.
Oh yeah, going back to Axel, now he's the only survivor left of the original prison gang. And I like how when they brought him in this episode, he's wearing regular clothes now. He's not wearing the prison uniform, because now that's not who he is anymore. It's almost like he has a new role to play, and he's not the prisoner guy anymore. He's himself, and I like how they did that. That was very nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but let me tell you, the thing that put the cherry on top of the sundae was that weird moment where you suddenly see Rick seeing his wife in a dress that makes it seem like they're going to dinner.
Yeah, Lady in White. That was such a crazy ending, because it further shows how much Rick has plunged into this, not insanity, but he's really losing. Yeah, I guess he is kind of losing his grip on the reality. Because this was kind of like a prelude to him having to step down as the leader. I mean, we got hints of that early on, right when we first think Lori is killed, and Rick has his breakdown, and he starts hearing voices on the phone of all the people that have died, and then he furthers that when they go to Woodbury, and he sees Shane, and he's still killing him, and now he's seeing Lori. So he's seeing all these delusions of all these people that he's failed, and all the pressure that everybody's been giving him for being leader is just, it's piling down on him, and it's becoming too much to happen. So this is just inevitably foreshadowing to the scene that we see in the preview of Carl telling him that maybe it's a good idea for him to step down as leader. And there's even a preview for next week when we see him, it looks like he's leaving the prison, and Herschel's trying to stop him, saying, "We need you here," but it looks like he's already on the outside of the fence. So I don't know. Maybe Rick will leave the group for some reason or another down the road. I don't know at this point, but I wonder what would happen if that was the case. Like, would Glenn take over, or would Carl take over? Who would be the leader then?
I don't know. I'm actually putting my money on Carl.
Right? Because I love what they've done with his character this season. He was such a helpless, kind of irritating character last season, really because he didn't know how to accept what was happening around him. And now that he's finally kind of come to grips, now that he's got his dad's hat on and he's got his gun, now he knows what he has to do. He has to take care of his family. He has to do whatever's necessary. And he really is kind of establishing himself as like a little leader, and I love that. I think that's great. But I mean, the biggest thing that I love about this season now is that we really have like three main story arcs here. We have the story arc in Woodbury with the governor and Andrea. We have now Daryl and Merle that are going off on their own on the open road. Who knows what's going to happen to them? I hope Daryl eventually comes to his senses and returns to the group. Of course, it's got to happen. It's got to happen. And then we have the story arc in the prison. And even within that story arc, you have multiple little arcs taking place as well. You have the new group with Tyrese and their role to play. We still have Michonne. We have no idea what her role is. We don't know where she came from, what those two walkers were that she was carrying with her, if that was her family or not. We know nothing about this character, and yet we love her so much. I want to find out more about her. And we got Glenn and Maggie who are having their issues right now because of what happened to them when they were tortured. Carol coming to terms with Daryl not being there anymore. Rick with his breakdown. Really the only character that's kind of keeping everything together is my buddy Herschel. I love that guy. He's the one who's trying to keep everything together. He's the dad of the group. He's trying to talk to Rick, work some sense into him, trying to make sure that Glenn and Maggie are together. He's the glue of the group. And, I don't know where they would be without him. Good old one-legged Herschel, man.
Yeah, and he seems like the only one Rick will talk to.
Exactly. That's like he's the guy he goes to for advice now.
Yeah, and, well, we'll have to see what happens because there's so many open questions left in this episode.
This is like we're at the halfway point now. We got 7 more episodes left to go this season, and it's like now we got the conflict introduced. It's only going to get worse before it gets any better at this point. We know that the war is coming, and the preview for next week, of course, we see Daryl Merle out there trying to survive on their own, but who knows if that's going to work out well. The governor is starting to question Andrea's loyalties, and inevitably she's going to try and make her way back to the group, because we've seen that in the preview. And now Michonne and Glenn are trying to make a plan to take the governor out on their own without Rick's consent. And, of course, Rick is continuing to have more delusions of Lori. So it's really building up to something big.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. But until then, I guess that's it for this week.
For listening, guys, we'll talk to you soon. This is Drew.
This is Ed.
We'll talk to you later. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.